Hello everybody! Today I'm going to be showing you how to make and take care of a sourdough starter. It seems to be something that a lot of people get stressed out about, but really once you learn how to do it, it's super simple and it's actually incredibly fun. Now to make a sourdough starter today, all that we're going to need is a mason jar. This is a 2-cup mason jar or 1-pint mason jar. You can do it with a 1-cup mason jar or a 1-quart mason jar. Any size will work to get the sourdough going, but once you get into the bread making and things like that, if you're using a 1-cup mason jar, even a 2-cup, you will want to upgrade to a larger size, but just to get it going, this is plenty. The other thing that we'll need is some flour. This is just regular all-purpose flour. I get mine from Costco. I get about 50 pounds of flour for somewhere between $9 to $10, so it's super cheap. I'd recommend that if you are able to go to Costco. Then the other thing that we'll need is water. This is reverse osmosis water. However, any water will do. It probably helps to have it be filtered water. I think the chlorine can affect the fermentation a little bit. So even just a simple Brita countertop filtration system will do just fine. I used one of those for several months when I first began making sourdough. All right, so that is enough to go ahead and get started. I am gonna be making 2 different batches. One of them, I'm gonna be measuring out all the ingredients. The other one, I'm just gonna be eyeballing everything, just to show you that you really don't need to stress out about it, and it can be pretty laid back. All right, so here I have my scale. What we're gonna do is we're first gonna get the weight of the mason jar. The reason that we're gonna do this is because in the future times that we feed it, we're gonna need to feed the starter the same weight of starter, flour, and water. So if we have 50 grams of starter, we're gonna need to feed it 50 grams of flour and 50 grams of water. And so this just makes it really easy to calculate how much the jar weighs, so then we know exactly how much starter we have every day. So about 250 grams is how much this mason jar weighs. So we can just remember that 250, and we'll go ahead and zero it out just to make it simple. Now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna add to that about, let's go ahead and add just about 20 grams of flour. That'll probably be good. All right, and then to that, we're gonna add 20 grams of water. So we'll just do it until it gets to about 40 grams. Oh, I went a little bit over, so we'll add in a little bit more flour just to get an exact equal part. And all that we're gonna do is stir that up just like that. And then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna cover it and put it in the cabinet. I like to cover mine with, I've got these pot holders from IKEA that are a cork. And so I like this because I'm pretty sure it lets the CO2 out without letting any oxygen in. So I'd recommend that. And then the next batch that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get rid of the scale and I'm just gonna pour in some flour, just pour in some water. And we'll just give that a stir, see what the consistency is like. That's a little bit more liquidy than I'd like, so we'll just add in some more flour. And it's really simple. All you have to do is just feed it once a day. And if you're not gonna be baking very often, you can actually just store it in the refrigerator and it will do just fine in there for about a week. All right, so that is all there is to it. So very simple to get it started. We're just gonna repeat these feedings about every day, or we are gonna repeat it every day for anywhere from 4 to 7 days is usually how long it takes. So I will see you tomorrow and we'll feed it again. All right, so it is now the next day. It's been about 18 hours since we started these, and now it is time for their first feeding. So here I've got the one where we're gonna measure it out exactly. And I wrote 250 so that we know how many grams the jar weighs. And so yeah, so here we have the exact one, and then here we have the fun one of where we're not measuring anything out and we're just being fun and laid back about it. And so once again, what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure the weight of the starter and then subtract 250 from it. the weight of the jar. That way we know how much the starter weighs. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so let's go ahead and turn on the scale and we'll measure this one. So right now it is weighing close to 300 grams. So we're just gonna subtract 250 from that. And so we're gonna feed it. And so we're gonna come up with 50. So there's about 50 grams of starter, a little bit less than that, but that's okay. Actually, I will still need the scale. So we'll go ahead and zero out the scale. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna feed it 50 grams of flour and 50 grams of water. All right, so we'll go ahead and start with the water. All right, there we go, pretty close to 50. All right, and then next we will do the 50 grams of flour. You can either zero it out again or just leave it the same. It does not matter, as long as you're good at math. All right, so we've got 80. And just a pinch more. All right, there we go. And now we'll just mix that up. All right, so you can really decide what you want your starter to be like, depending on, once you get into making bread, you'll get used to the consistency of starter that you like. You can either have it be really thick like this, or it may be really runny. Either one is completely fine. You might just need to adjust the level of flour in your recipes. So I'll just set that off to the side. We'll go ahead and cover that. And then now for the fun one, all that we're gonna do is we're just gonna grab a pinch of flour, not even use the measuring spoon. We're going to just do 2 pinches of flour, and we'll just pour some water in there, and let's see what we end up with. I like doing it this way because whenever it comes to every single day, sometimes if you're using measuring cups and scales and all that stuff, it can just be a lot of effort and work to feed a sourdough starter, versus with this way, I'm already done. So that really makes it a lot simpler. You don't need to stress out about it. And you can see with this one, you can probably see the difference. This one's a lot more runny. I could make it thicker, but it might be good to just go ahead and have 2 different examples. But so that's all that we got to do. We just got to cover this and put it back in the cupboard, and I'll see you all tomorrow. It is now day 4 and time for the 3rd feeding. So let's go ahead and uncover the jars. And as you can see, there's kind of a liquid on top, which that is not a problem at all. That actually means that the fermentation is working. If you smell it, it's gonna smell, it's gonna have a very strong fragrance. So all that we're gonna do is we're just gonna stir that back into the jar actually. And then we'll go ahead and pour out some of the starter. So let's see, let's get the starter down to 50 grams. So what that means is it means that it's hungry. And you'll see, so before this was very, very thick, and now it's very liquidy. I'm not sure if you can see that or not, because of the fermentation. So let's go ahead and take some more out. And even this still has some nice bubbles in it. Okay, there we go, 309. So yeah, so that means that we would have about 60 grams of starter. So we'll go ahead and add in 60 grams of water. But yeah, feeding the starter is not anything to stress out about. It's very simple. There we go. All right. Oh, went a little over, but that's okay. Oh, except this is the one that's supposed to be exact. Oh, and I did not. Ah, this is a disaster. Oh well, I won't do it anymore. I don't want to do second takes. I'm all about that first take. All right, so let's go ahead and stir that together. This is once again gonna be pretty thick. See, even my one that I'm supposed to be exact in, I still am not exact. I am not good with following measurements and all that stuff. Most of my cooking, I do not measure things out. All right, so we'll go ahead and stir this one and dump some of this out. And so I'll probably actually not even wait until the next full day for the next video, because I'm assuming that because of the liquid that was on the top, that means that the fermentation is going to be ready. So in about 5 hours, it will probably have at least doubled in size. The starter will have. So let me just do that, and I'm actually gonna do a little bit of flour. I personally actually like them a little bit thicker, just because also you look at the flour is what's feeding it. So, you know, just to make sure that it's like really well fed. But anyways, so that is the day 4 feeding. I forgot what day we were on. Which is, yeah, the 3rd feeding. So once again, cover that up, put it in the cabinet, and if it does start expanding, I'll record a video so that y'all can see what it looks like. Hello everybody, so it has not been the next day. It's actually only been a few minutes, but I just remembered, so once it does get to this place where it starts to grow and starts to expand, and once you have your sourdough starter, what's really fun to do is to mark the jar. I don't know if y'all can see the level that it's at, but if you just put a line right there, and then that way you can see how much it's growing. It makes it really fun, the joys of sourdough starter, because it's fun to watch stuff grow, you know, to express your child at heart. But anyways, and then another thing that I also realized that I'd like to address is with the discard, what to do with that. So you can either dump it out, or if you're not able to get your hands on bigger jars and you just have a bunch of smaller jars, you can put it in like 5 different smaller jars and then just use that to make bread. Or, you know, because even a 1 quart mason jar, it's good for like 1 loaf, but you'd only be able to make 1 loaf every few days, which if you're just making it for yourself, that's great. But if you're planning on making it for people and things like that, then you'll probably need a little bit of a bigger jar than 1 quart. But you'll learn all of that as you kind of play around with it. You'll figure out what sizes you need and things like that. But yeah, so with the discard, you can either just dump it out. You can use it to make more sourdough starter, or there's numerous recipes that you can make with it that are absolutely amazing. And after I show y'all how to make bread, I'll go ahead and post some of those recipes. They're not original recipes, but just recipes I found online, and hopefully y'all enjoy them as much as I do. But anyways, I'll go ahead and do a video in probably 6 to 8 hours if these have grown at all. All right, so I'll see you then. Hello everybody, so it is now the next day. I didn't end up doing the video of watching it grow because it didn't actually grow as much as I had thought it was going to. I think I celebrated a little bit too early, but that's okay because we're still having fun. But anyways, so I'm not showing you the feeding today just because I figured y'all are probably tired of watching the feedings. So I think you kind of get the idea. We're just going to keep on doing that until we notice that it begins to grow significantly between the 4 to 6 hour range. Even sometimes it takes a little bit longer than that, depending on if it's pretty cold. And you'll want to continue feeding the sourdough every single week, or every single day. But if you can't feed it every day, like if you're going out of town or something, you can put it in a refrigerator and then you only have to feed it once a week. So if you're not actively baking, I would recommend that. You just take it out the day before and feed it, and then the next day it's good to go. Another thing with the discard, the only reason that we have a discard is so that we don't have to feed it a ton, because if we didn't do a discard, and you're feeding it 100 grams of flour, 100 grams of water, and you have 100 grams of starter, well, now the starter weighs 300 grams. So then the next day you have to feed it 300 grams of flour, 300 grams of water, and the day after that, 900. So then before you know it, you're using, it outdoes your jar. So that's the only reason that we do a discard. And so if you're trying to grow your starter, then you wouldn't want to discard if you're just trying to get it big. So most times, I should have prepared this beforehand, but where did it go? Oh, here we go. So whenever I am going to be making lots of bread, I use this 1 gallon glass jar. And so I would just put my starter in here, feed it, and within 2 days, I can have this jar completely full. Because you can actually feed your starter more than once a day. Some people actually recommend feeding it twice a day, just all the time. But I just wanted to show you how to do the easiest, simplest way to do it, where you don't have to be stressed out about it or anything like that. And hopefully you did learn how to do it without being stressed. If you did, show your friends, tell them that you're now doing sourdough. They'll all be super excited to try the bread. And try to get as many of your friends as possible to make a sourdough starter, teach them how to do it. And yeah, hopefully I relieve some stress by showing you how to do it. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. And I guess I'll see you guys next time.